What gets me are the payday loan apps, like the $50. Like whenever I like borrow $50 real quick from like,
You're doing payday loans right now too?
yeah, like a couple of them.
Giovanni, welcome to the show today. What do you do for a living and where are you from?
I'm a bartender and a performer out in Los Angeles, California.
Awesome. And how much you make a year?
Make about 80,000 a year.
What's the split between bartending and the entertainment world out in LA?
I make about, I would say like 80% bartending income, and then the other 20% will come from entertainment side of things.
And how old are you?
32.
And how long have you been living out in LA for?
10 years.
What caused you to move out there?
I moved here initially to dance, and so I moved out here, got an agent, did that whole run, and I've been transitioning from dancing to acting, and yeah, that's what I've been doing. Bartending pays the bills for that, and also my rent.
And how'd you kind of define your current financial situation on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'm gonna say it's bad. You know, some years it feels like a 5. Right now, it probably does feel more like a 3 or a 2.
He changed it from our first recording from a 6. Okay, so put yourself at a 5 or a 3. Prior to my filming mishap, you rated yourself at a 6. So just going to call that out. But if we're at a 6, I want to see money in this bank account. I want to see debt almost gone or all the way paid off. And I think looking at your current financial situation, we're not in that right now. So looking through our current debts, I see 3 personal loans, one for $800, one for $800, and another for $400. So about $2,000 in personal loans. We see a car loan for about $13,000 that you bought last year. That's been paid down a little bit. So total debt's about $15,000. And then in terms of assets, your current value of your car is $10,000. I see $100 in retirement accounts and $0 in savings. Does that sound about right?
That sounds right.
Okay, so that puts your total assets at $10,100 and brings your net worth to negative $4,900. Have you ever calculated your net worth before?
Negative is my debt. Is my net worth?
Well, you got $10,100 worth of assets and you got $15,000 worth of debt. So when you got more debt than assets,
That sucks.
so we got to figure out how do we improve your situation from where it is right now.
Okay.
I'd love to learn more before we kind of dive into your monthly budget and expenses. I'd love to learn more about just your upbringing and your childhood. So where are you from and how did your parents approach money growing up?
Yeah, so I'm from Richmond, California, just north of San Francisco. My mom, she knew money very well. She knows money very well. You know, she definitely didn't always have the best spending habits. She did always tell me to make sure I watch out for my credit, just protect my credit, protect my social security information. But, you know, I definitely see her make some pretty lavish purchases and kind of have some trouble with government sometimes, IRS, whatever. But, you know, she definitely dug herself out of all that. But yeah, I've seen some ups and downs.
Okay. And did you go to college? And if so, did you study? What'd you study?
I did not go to college. Just moved when I was pretty young from the Bay to Los Angeles, you know, to pursue dance. I've been doing this all my life, so you know, just wanted to come out here.
So moving to LA, chasing the dream. What is your kind of future career goals and aspirations?
Well, now as I like transition into like acting, I just definitely want to perform on series. So I see myself as a series regular. I see myself just writing. I feel like I'm very passionate and I feel very comfortable in my craft. So I feel like I'm on a great path, and dance has helped that. And I've gotten some stuff with dance too, but I just feel like I'm in a time in my life where I want to, you know, transition and mold.
And do you have any kind of personal financial goals that you want to achieve as well in the short term or in the long term?
Yeah, a lot of them. I mean, this year I definitely want to have savings. I want to have a substantial amount of savings that I don't even think about touching. Maybe like creating I think it's called like a CD account. Also like adding to that Roth IRA account. And like that's this year, long term, like 5 years. Let's see, that's 37, 38. I'm kind of back and forth on buying a house because the market is just so volatile. But I just really, I don't, you know, especially in California, I don't know enough about that. But I do want to just have a proper savings. I want to be able to travel the world whenever I want and just live comfortable.
Okay. Well, let's figure out how to get you there because right now with $0 in your savings account, it makes it tough to do much or feel comfortable. Definitely would not suggest buying a house right now with your current financial situation because I talked to you about buying a house. I want to see debt paid off. I want to see a fully funded emergency fund. And that way, when stuff happens in a house, you can screw yourself pretty easily. So we got to figure out if you want to buy a house, which obviously California is very expensive. It's a lot loftier of a goal there. But
Yeah, that's probably like 10-year, honestly. I mean, who knows? But I like living in California. I don't see myself. I mean, who knows? I mean, I'll travel more and I'll make that decision. But yeah.
But either way, hey, you can start working towards that goal. You can be saving. You're like, okay, maybe it's in 5 years, maybe it's in 10 years. You at least start saving towards that. So when the opportunity comes, whether it's in California and you're financially ready, or you decide you want to put down roots or you move somewhere else, you can be ready for that and not have to start that process years down the line. So let's go ahead and look through your current budget sheet that you sent over. So what does your current process look like when it comes to budgeting? Do you look at your expenses every single month? Do you track everything in a spreadsheet or an app, or what does that kind of look like for you?
At this point, I don't have a tracking report. I just know. I just kind of like write down like on my notes the main bills: rent, car, insurance, phone bill, and I just kind of like I put the number of each amount on that, like in my, so it'll be like rent $1,400, car blah 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 blah, and so I'll have it listed, and then I'll calculate that, and then I'll look at the money that's coming in for those couple of weeks, and then I'll just automatically I'll do the math, and I'll have that like number like noted either in my head or I'll have it in my notes to say, okay, make sure you have about $2,700 by the time rent comes around, because that's when the phone bill and that's where it's all gonna be due.
Okay, so rough budgeting via Notes app, but you're not tracking every single expense. So that's one thing off the bat, that if you want to build wealth, if you want to understand where your money's going, something you need to make sure you track every single expense, because the little things like eating out or shopping or travel might not seem like much, but when you got a ton of different transactions add up quickly, and between your rent, your car payment and stuff, I mean, it looks like about $2,600 of your expenses. That means we got $2,000 of other expenses somewhere else. So
Yeah.
okay, well, let's dive through this budget then. So you put about $60,000 as your gross income, but you said it's about $75,000 to $80,000, correct?
Yeah, well, when I did my taxes this year, it was that.
Okay, it was 60,000 for last year, but this year right now you're tracking for about 80,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we bump that up to 6,500 a month in gross, and then after taxes, you're probably about $4,800. That sound about right?
That sounds about right. It's just weird because in my line of work, it's like fall, I make so much money. The first 3 months of the year, I don't make a lot, but then in summer, I'll have a big wave. So it's hard to track it like on a monthly level, to be honest. I'm probably more better like to track it on a quarterly if that was possible. And I don't know if that's possible like on my end to just track it so far as like how much I'm, I don't know, making those quarters. Cause like, in a week, I can make like $5,000, and on the next week I'll make like 400. It's been weird like that on certain seasons, or maybe not 5,000, but in a week I could probably make like 2,000.
And I think the best way to do is kind of average it out over the course of each month, or hey, let's budget each month at the lowest it might possibly be, and then if there's overflow, then hey, that's more the merrier. That can go towards savings or go towards other things. So okay, so let's go through your monthly budget then. If we're bringing in about 78,000, I'll put it as on a average basis for the year. Net income about $4,800.
Mm-hmm.
You have rent $1,400 a month, which is not bad for LA. Do you have roommates?
I do have one roommate.
Okay, you got roommates. You got home utilities, $200. The total housing is about $1,600 a month.
That's about right. That's right. Yeah.
We got car insurance $150, our car payment for $487, and gas for $120. Do you know what your interest rate is on your car payment?
Not off the top of my head. It's very high because of what my credit was. I want to say. I wonder if I can look that up real quick on my Westlake Financial, because I know there's ways to like pay towards that principal. Like there. No, I don't have it. I don't know if I'll be able to like look it up and.
Okay. If it's high, do you think it's north of 10%?
Yeah, I want to say it's probably about like 13%, to be honest.
13%? Oh, wow. Okay.
Amount financed, 15,000, and then 13. Ooh, it's high. Annual percentage rate is 28%.
What?
Yeah.
On your car loan?
It says annual percentage rate, the cost of your credit as a yearly date is 28.99%.
And that's not a credit card, that's your car loan?
Yeah. So the finance charge was 13,000, and the amount financed was 15,000. The total price, cost of your purchase. Total cost of your purchase on credit, including your down payment, is Wait, let me make sure I'm reading this correctly. One sec.
Is it saying you're gonna pay $30,000 over the course of the loan?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I think that's why I really am like looking into getting it refinanced like ASAP, so I can like.
What is the length of the loan? Does it say 5 years?
Yeah. Or it says 6. I remember it being like 5 years. Yeah.
That hurts.
Yeah.
Basically, for the last year, you probably put like $3,000 towards the interest and $1,000 towards the principal.
Yeah, well, the term is 60 months.
60 months. Okay, so 5 years. Okay, wow. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that then, refinancing that or something, because if you have a 29% interest rate on your car loan, that is horrible.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, and I knew that it was like not the best deal. I just, prior to having a car, I was spending so much money on Ubers, and it was just like, like, I know, right now my credit's not the best, but, I went to a dealership to get the car too, but it was just like, my idea was just like, if I make enough money, I can hustle more. Because I've made more money having a car, being able to like get to different gigs. And because there was times where I would have to turn down certain gigs, bartending or like, I wouldn't say entertainment as much, but like sometimes if it was like a lower budget entertainment job, I would still pay. I would turn it down if it was in like Agora Hills or somewhere at Simi Valley. Whereas now I can kind of take on more, opportunity.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to talk about that car loan. And then groceries, you said $250 a month. So total necessities about $2,600 a month.
Yeah.
Subscriptions, we got $160. What type of subscriptions are these?
So the bad ones. Netflix, HBO Max. I definitely had those two, HBO Max, Netflix.
You need one of them, not all of them.
Yes. Sometimes I need all of them. No, I don't.
When you have $0 in your bank account right now, you don't need all of them.
Actually, that's be updated because my roommate technically has all of them that he pays for his own in the living room that we kind of share, that he doesn't really like charge me for. But just in my own room, I have Netflix because he doesn't have, that's the one he doesn't have. Oh, well, also too, what gets me are the Payday Loan apps, like the $50, like whenever I like borrow $50 real quick from like.
You're doing payday loans right now too?
Yeah, like a couple of them. But I pay them off right away.
Is that what the personal loans are?
No, the personal loans are like, well, I guess so.
Are those that $2,000 in personal loans? Are those payday loans?
Yeah.
What is the interest rate on those then?
Oh God, I don't know. Well, see, those are high, but I pay those off with the principal like within like a week or so.
I mean, I'm pretty sure payday loans, the average interest rate, if you annualize it, is like 400% or something crazy.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's high.
So, okay. So we'll talk more about that. And then eating out $150, entertainment $560. What are we spending $560 a month on entertainment?
Let's see. I think I categorize entertainment with like maybe some of the classes, which I honestly am gonna cut back on because since November I've been taking a lot of like workshops and that's cost me a lot of money, and so I'm gonna cut back on that, which is since November to now I've probably spent like $400 for each like class or workshop that I've done. Also, I've spent money on movies. Like I've gone to like the theater quite often around like the early part of the year.
So a lot of just encompassing entertainment things there.
Yeah.
Then we got health and fitness $259, personal care $120, total fund money $1,250 a month.
I spend a lot of money on fitness.
$3,856 for total living expenses. So if you're bringing in $4,800, you should have $1,000 left over each month. But that's not the case, it looks like right now. So we got to dive into these expenses and figure out where's this money going, what's happening. Because being 32, we've got problems with payday loans. We've got a car loan that's 29% interest rate. We've got a lot of problems we got to solve for here because I want you to be in a much more secure financial situation. And one thing I want to talk about is you said your credit score is tanked. Is it because of credit cards issues in the past, or why? What happened to your credit?
It was tanked before because of like delinquent payments. Because I had a credit card like when I was younger, when I was like 18. That kind of just got out of control. I just never paid it until I was like 25, but I paid all that off.
Okay, so I'm assuming that went to collections and you paid it off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so sounds like advice number one from Mother about protecting the credit score we have not done.
No, I mean I've been aware of it, and I try to reel it in, but yeah.
Okay. We got to figure out this mess for you, Geovanni, because I want you to be in a much more secure spot, not doing payday loans, not having a 29% interest rate car loan, and having money in the bank. So where should we start? I see we have two different bank accounts. So we'll start with the Chime one. And so I guess, what is your structure having two different bank accounts between the Wells Fargo and the Chime? Why do you use two different ones for transactions?
Well, when I got Chime, I knew that it would help with like building credit and I knew that it would help with like setting money aside in an automated fashion. And so that was my thought process on like using Chime. And so the idea was to have the Chime credit builder like portion of the card be like the savings, because it would add, I think it gives you like 5% or something, as some, or maybe even 6% to have it sitting in Chime. I forgot, but it gives you money back. And then Wells Fargo is just like a traditional, like, just like a traditional like checking account. And then the savings was to, eventually have savings in that account.
Okay, so let's look at the Chime account first then. Chime account started the statement period with negative $2.71. You had $1,400 flow into the account. You had $1,400 flow out of the account, and ended the balance with $1.17 in it. So some of the transactions during March we got Starbucks, CVS, Barry's Boot Camp, Blue Bottle Coffee. We've got some parking. We got Clio repayments, Sweet Green for $25. That's an expensive lunch.
Yeah.
What is transfer to credit builder for $73?
Well, what happens is a lot of times, like the payment, like my payroll, when it goes into my Chime checking, I have it automated to send it to my credit builder. Like it just sends it automatically. And if it's not automated, then I'll switch it over there to, like, if I know, what, I gotta save for this T-Mobile bill, let me like put that in the Chime credit so I don't touch it.
Okay, so the credit builder card is supposed to help you it basically is a secured card to help you build your credit score up?
Yeah, but it's like it's literally like directly connected to the Chime checking.
Okay.
I do have a secured credit card with Capital One that I think I sent you.
Okay, so we got Clio salary advance, like you said you're doing. We've got Uber Line for $4, more Barry's Boot Camp. We got Jelson's Market.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop Barry's. I stopped because it's expensive.
We got Amazon for $16.41 on, what was that, March 28th on Amazon? Do you remember?
No.
Was it a necessity to keep you alive?
To keep me alive?
Yeah. Or was it an unnecessary want that you spend money on?
Oh, are you saying what it was? I can look it up real quick. Let's see. I mean, sometimes it's like I probably bought it was probably not important. I would have remembered if it was important.
Exactly. So my point is, these are things that, hey, we got no money in the bank account right now. We got to figure out what is important in life, what is not. And if having financial security and stability is important, then we got to analyze, okay, these Amazon purchases, these Starbucks, the Target runs, the Sweet Greens, those are things that we got to start cutting out so that you can start saving this money for yourself and actually have peace and have a savings, versus right now, every single dollar that comes in is flying out the door. So,
yeah.
And that's why it's very important to look at every single transaction and spending that happens in your account, because you'll never know how much you spend unless you truly do that. And for your Wells Fargo account for the same period, you started the statement with $411 in your bank account. You had $4,600 come in during that time period. I'm assuming some of it's going to be transfers between your Chime and this account. But then we had $4,900 go out. So you spent $300 more than you brought in during this time period, and you ended the bank account balance with $143 on it on March 25th, which, when you're spending more money than you're making, that's not a good situation or spot to be in.
Yeah.
We got to figure out how do we change that, and how do we change your financial situation. So this is like 6 pages of transactions on here.
Yeah.
Which means there's a lot of different stuff on here that are probably unnecessary. I do see like transactions that are back and forth between yourself for like $300 on here. But I mean, there's just a lot of small transactions that are $10, $30, Trader Joe's for $37, DoorDash for $10, DoorDash for $13, Sweet Green for $20. So best thing you can do is delete that dang DoorDash app and stop eating out, because DoorDash is expensive. You got fees, tip, everything else in between. Sweet Greens, it's good food. Given your current situation with $100 in your bank account, we should not be eating out right now. It's, in my opinion, I would rather be saving money and not eating out than having $100 in my bank account. I'd rather be foregoing the eating out aspect and saving that money. And then, okay, once you start building an emergency fund to start paying off this debt, then you can start allocating a budget towards eating out. Or maybe it's, instead of having, right now you said $150 towards eating out, looking at your expenses, I'm sure it's way over that. Maybe you honed it down to $100, and that means you get Chick-fil-A, Chipotle 7 times a month. Then, okay, you stick to that budget and do it. But the issue is, when you give people an inch of, say, hey, it's $100 for eating out, they'll take a mile and you'll end up spending $400 or $500 eating out. And so you really have to decide, can you cut it off cold turkey? Or if you cut it off and actually stick to a budget of $100, I'm fine with that. But you have to make those decisions. But eating out for Sweet Greens for $25, DoorDashing every other meal, it just destroys you financially. So
Yeah.
DoorDashing, like takeout, like the delivery, that 100% needs to be going.
Okay.
We've got, what is $486 to Westlake payment?
That's our payment.
Oh, that's your car payment. Okay. Okay. You have a lot of health and fitness stuff on here with Barry's Boot Camp and Body Energy Club and other stuff. We've got, oh, wow. So one day on March 11th, which is my birthday, so I guess you went shopping for my birthday because we got Ross for $68. We got TJ Maxx for $84.
Oh, okay. I needed to get a shirt and tie. I was working the Oscars that day, and I had to get that because I didn't have a clean one. I had a clean one. I just needed to look nice. I had to get that.
So starting off, he didn't have a clean one, but then he said he had a clean one, but then he said he needed to look nice, which means there's probably one in the closet he could have worn.
No, I know. Well, the shoes, I needed to get those shoes. I just needed, and the tie. I needed to get the shoes and the tie.
Needed or want?
No, I really didn't have any shoes, and they will send you home if you don't look. I will vouch for myself. I needed to get those shoes that day because they would have sent me home, and I wouldn't have been able to see all the stars or work, and I needed to do that.
Did you get paid for it at least?
Of course, I worked. I bartended.
Okay, if you got paid for it.
Okay, to be fair, I probably didn't need to get the cologne as well. I also got cologne.
We got $66 at CVS the same day. We got ABC Nails for $21. We got Bliss Care for $34. We got Pavilions for $35 all on the same day.
Okay, I can explain some of that. The ABC Nails, I did a photo shoot where I was hand modeling, and they told me that they would reimburse me for the nails. So that's clear. They gave me my money back. Bliss, I wanted to get my...
I wanted. We can't change the transactions. I'm just trying to point out what are some things in your past that you could have foregone, whether it's eating out, whether it's some of these different transactions. So instead of having $100 in your bank account in the month, you could have $300, you could have $400, and that will stack every single month. So these are decisions you have to make moving forward and be conscious. Like, what's more important, this $60 t-shirt or shoes, or is having that $60 in my bank account so I can start saving towards buying a house or start paying off these payday loans or something? That money can be put to a much better use. Instead of buying frivolous things you don't need, it can be put towards paying off debt. It can, once debt's paid off, then start investing. But these are things you have to start analyzing and looking at every single transaction.
Okay. No, you're right, though. There's some of those that I really did. Like the eyebrow things I didn't need. Some of those shopping things like at Ross, some of the stuff I needed, some I didn't. So no, yeah, you're 100%.
And then we've got a massage company for $60. We've got another health and fitness thing at John Reed for $160.
Oh, yeah.
You spend a lot of money on food because we got Trader Joe's for $140. Then we have Whole Foods for $23. We got Trader Joe's again for $67, all within like 2 days of each other.
Really?
March 11th, $138 at Trader Joe's. March 12th, $67 at Trader Joe's.
Ugh.
And that's why if I asked you how much money you spent on food last month, you wouldn't know. But looking at this, I mean, it's probably, that alone is $250. Then we have all the different DoorDashes and Sweet Greens and stuff like that. And we're 10 days in the statement cycle. So you're probably spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on eating. And that's why it's very important to track every single expense, because otherwise these little $30 transactions or $50 transactions, it's hard to kind of quantify how much you actually spent. And the same with the workout stuff. We got Barry's Boot Camp for $320, Barry Boot Camp for $34. And then we have the John Reed Fitness, which is another $160. So like we're over $500 on health and fitness, which I'm all for health and fitness, but it needs to be reasonable. Whether it's going to a Crunch or an Anytime Fitness, if you need a gym, those are a lot more reasonable in terms of price, but spending $400, $500 on workout classes right now, it's hard to justify that right now with your current situation.
Yeah, you know what though too? I just canceled all of those, to be honest. I did my last one today at one of the other ones that you didn't mention. Theirs was another training. But I did my last one because I haven't done it. I haven't been teaching like the past couple of months, but I'm starting back next week to teach at F45 Fitness, and I'll get free classes there. And so I'll just use that. Again.
F45 is a great workout. So if you're teaching there, making money, and you get free classes, all the better, and that'll cut out hundreds of dollars of expenses in your current budget. So, but food, we got Trader Joe's 3 days in a row. You went on the 13th again for $25. If you go every single day, you have so much more opportunity to buy stuff you don't actually need.
I know.
Like going to the grocery store, you got to go once a week. Go when you're full, so you're not hungry, and make a list and stick to that list. But going every day, I mean, you're going to spend so much more money on that.
Okay.
We got Starbucks for $17. We've got Trader Joe's again for $17. We've got, I don't know what these other little transactions are for $20.
Oh yeah, sometimes I get like the THC drinks and like stuff like that, or like the CBD drinks.
What is Groundwork?
It's a coffee shop.
Okay, so we got, you love your coffee shops too. I don't even want to know how much money you spent on coffee shops because 2 days in a row we spent $23, $14, Starbucks $17.
Okay.
So I'm all for getting coffee, but you're getting a $3, $4 coffee, sure, but we're got.
Well, it's the sandwiches and stuff. Like I'll get the coffee and they have really good like turkey wraps or like.
But again, it's what's more important, your that sandwich and wrap or having $100 in your bank account right now.
$100 in the bank account for sure.
These are things you have to prioritize.
Okay.
We got Uber for $25. We've got T-Mobile. You have multiple T-Mobile payments. What is?
Oh well, sometimes basically I'll split the payment into 2 months. So
Because I see $97 on the 11th, and then I see $126 on the 25th. Why is your phone bill so much?
well, the phone bill is usually there was a moment where I had to like skip a phone payment earlier in the year, and so like they just kind of like divided it up throughout the.
Do you pay for cell service on your iPad?
No, you know why it's expensive though, honestly it's cheaper now. I didn't even think about this. I was paying my iPhone off throughout the payment. I have an iPhone and the Apple Watch. And I think those were being paid off, so the bill was more expensive.
Phone plan, is the phone paid off, or how much is left on that?
I got another, you know what? I got another month. It'll be paid off in June, but I also made the bill cheaper because right now it's only like $60 because I took away insurance on the phone.
Okay, and what about the Apple Watch? Is that paid off, or how far until that's paid off?
I think the Apple Watch is paid off.
Okay. But yeah, that's definitely an expensive phone plan, so figuring out how can you get it cheaper would be in your best interest. But yeah, during this time period, $4,900 went out the door. And between your rent, that's a lot of money out the door. And there's a few transactions that are transfers to yourself, but overall, this is just a lot of spending. There's probably about $500 in transfers to yourself to another account. A lot of this is just a lot of spending on $30 transactions, $20 transactions. But when you have 6 or 7 pages worth of that, I mean, that adds up quickly. And that's why it's very important to budget every single transaction so you know how much money you're spending. And what else do we have left? We have the Quicksilver card. This is your secured credit card, it looks like.
Yeah, but I also have a checking account associated with that because they gave me like $100 to open it up. And so, you know.
I see the statement you opened that or in February, it looks like. I don't have the last month's statement, so I don't know how much is on that. And then the secured credit card is.
Yeah, so basically I can tell you like with that, I get a payment, like I get one of my jobs, I have them set aside like $450 to put in that checking account on the Quicksilver. So I can pay off, so that I can have like just to remind me to use half of that to put towards Quicksilver credit card, the secured card, if that makes sense.
Okay, that makes sense. So right now, looking at it, we have kind of a complex situation because we have 3 different bank accounts. We've got a secured card, and that causes me a headache because I'm trying to figure out how much money I actually spend every single month because you transfer money in and out. So I'm assuming if you're not budgeting, it makes it even more difficult for you.
Yeah.
One of my suggestions would be, how do you simplify that down? Pick one account, the Wells Fargo, the Chime, or the Capital One, and have every single thing flow in and out of that. Because worst case scenario, if you just have one account and you know, okay, $4,800 came in and $4,800 went out, and because you're not transferring money to other places. But right now you have transfers in and out to each other accounts, which kind of makes it difficult to figure out how much you're actually spending every single month. So at a high level, having all in and out of one account simplifies that down and helps you realize at a top level, this is how much money came in and this is how much money went out. That's only the first step of budget. It only gives you a high level picture, but it makes it a lot easier. You want to simplify your finances because complex causes more issues, cause you not to track it, and life's a lot better when you come up with simple solutions versus complex ones. So simplifying that. Number 2, budgeting. You said you kind of have just your normal expenses laid out with your car payment, with your rent, and the main bills. But when we have all these different transactions for food, for working out, for shopping, for all these other small transactions, if you're not tracking those, your money's going to disappear. As you've seen, you said you're making more money this year than the last couple of years, and the money's not showing in your bank account.
It doesn't feel like it. Yeah.
And that's because you're not tracking your expenses. And it's very easy. You get a $1,000 pay increase, or you get a $500 pay increase each month. You don't track your expenses, and you go shopping or you go out with friends a couple of times a month. That money's gone. And if you're not tracking that, then it's very easy for it to disappear. And that's why it's very important to track your expenses. So you have to make sure you stick to a budget. And I'll send you some different tools and resources. I use a platform called Copilot that I think is really simple and easy, and it automates a lot of it. You can use spreadsheets. There's other tools out there. But budgeting every single month, so you can sit here and say, okay, this is how much money I spend. This is how much money I have left over. And that way you give a budget to every single dollar you're spending, so that you know, okay, I only have $200 a month to spend on eating out, and that means I'll have $400 left over in the month, so I can start paying down this debt. And that gives you just an overarching game plan of where your money's going and how much money you have to spend and allocate towards different categories. But there's no reason that you should have nothing left over at the end of each month when you're bringing in $4,800 and your rent is only 29% of your net pay. So I mean, that's your net pay. You want to have it around 30%, and you're just under that. So it's like you have money left over. It's just going out the door because we're not tracking expenses.
Okay.
So budgeting is very important. After we start building a budget and a plan, you want to start saving up. Some people say $1,000. Some say a month of living expenses. So if your living expenses are $3,000, I like the 1,000 approach because it just keeps you, it's a better spot than you're in right now because you have $100. Let's get to $1,000. And then once we get to $1,000, we can start using the additional money to pay off debt. And we've got a bunch of different debt right now between the personal loans, which are payday loans, it sounds like, and the car loan. So all of those are high interest rate debts. So there's no reason you think about putting money in a high yield savings account, in a CD, or invest in the stock market when we have payday loans and we have a 29% interest rate car loan.
So you're saying think about saving yet, or like think about saving, but like step number one is to like clear off this debt?
Yes, because if you think about it, a CD right now or a high yield savings account, you're in 4 or 5%. But you're paying 29% on your car loan, so you're losing 24% spread basically on that money if you're putting in a CD or a high yield savings account versus a car loan, paying down the car loan. And same with payday loans. If those APYs basically are 400 to 500% versus a 4% yield, I mean, you're just destroying yourself right there. So with these, if you had like a car loan that was 0% or 3% or 4%, okay, that could be a conversation. But when we have a 29% interest rate car loan, I don't even care about investing because the average return of the stock market is like 10% and you're paying 29% on your car loan. So the math just doesn't math. So I wouldn't even think about your saving is paying down debt. So if you know at the end of each month you're saving $600, use all that $600, start paying down this debt as quickly as possible. And that is your form of saving because you're saving yourself the interest that you would be paying if you did not pay it off faster than the term. So budgeting, make sure you have margin left over. You need to get hundreds of dollars a month to start making progress on this because your interest rates on these things are so high. And my opinion, the best way to pay off debt is the debt snowball method. Are you familiar with what that is?
No.
You right now have 4 different debts. So you list your debts from smallest to largest. So we'll list the $400 one first, then the $800, then the other $800, and then the $13,000 car loan. And you'll pay the minimum payments across all of them. And then if you have, say, $400 left over, then you'll throw that extra $400 towards the smallest debt first, which in this case is the $400 loan. So that would pay that off in the first month. In the next month, that extra $400 plus the minimum payment from that $400 loan would go towards the second smallest loan. And that way you'll cycle them up from the smallest to largest. You'll make more progress that way versus right now, if you had $400 left over and you started paying the car loan off first, you're not going to see progress quickly on a $13,000 loan throwing $400 a month at. And so you'll get demotivated from it. So it makes more sense, in my opinion, to pay off the smallest first and then work your way up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So do you think, let's say for instance, like I know this Friday, I'm going to get like a pretty good amount paid out to me, like over probably like $1,400. If I know like I'll have 1,000 of it or 800 of it at my leisure, would you still say do the snowball method with like paying a little bit on all of them? Or because like the payday loans are such high interest, I should just like, because I know $800, like if I have $800 excess, like that, I can pay it off and it'll be paid. Or do you still think just kind of like be patient with it?
So the snowball method is you pay the minimum payments, but that extra $800, you throw all of that at the smallest debt. So if you had $800 left over, you'd pay off the $400 personal loan, and then you throw $400 at the next $800 loan.
Oh, got you. Okay. So then it's like, okay, if I got 800 coming in, if the minimum payments on the $800 loan, they're about $160, pay those minimum payments. But then let's say at the end of that, I'll have like what, $400 or $500 left over, use that to pay off the smallest amount.
Exactly. And then the next paycheck, then you should be able to pay off the next $800 one, and the next paycheck, the next $800 one. And so basically clear up and go from having 4 debts down to 3 debts, down to 2 debts, down to 1 debt, and the car loan would be last. But I mean, as long as you're taking all of the extra and throwing it towards one of those 3 debts, it won't make much of a difference. It's just a matter of making sure you do that and not go spend it on shopping or something.
Okay.
That's the difficult part. So
yeah, but I don't like the way it looks now laid out like this.
I don't like it either, because payday loans are predatory and they hurt your wallet, and it's very difficult to get out of them. So we have to get out of them a lot quicker than we're doing. How long have you been taking out payday loans?
Probably since like after the car last year.
Geovanni, Kate, you gotta get out of this. I hope you send me an email update in 2 months from now and say, hey, all the payday loans are paid off. Now I just have the car loan left. And from there, your mom talked about protecting your credit score. Let's just stay away from credit cards for the foreseeable future. We need a budget. We need to make sure that we are living below our means and start saving. But playing the credit score game can hurt you. It sounds like it did when you were 18, because you got a credit card, you didn't pay it off in full, and it leaves you in a bad situation with those interest rates as well. So credit score can help you when you're getting a car and you finance it. It can help you get in a house. But right now, we shouldn't be buying a new car. We should not be financing a car, and should not be buying a house. Your credit score for the foreseeable future doesn't matter until we improve your current financial situation.
And then do you think I should hold off on refinancing the car?
If you can get a new loan that is a lot lower than 29% and does not prolong your term, then I think that's a great idea to do. Refinancing to a lower rate is definitely going to save you a lot of money in interest. The one thing I don't want to happen is they say, okay, we'll refinance it 20%, but we're going to extend it for 8 or 9 more years from now. And that's what they'll get you, because they'll say, hey, Geovanni, you can save $100 in your monthly payment, but it's going to extend out an extra 2 years. Because right now you have 4 years left on your loan, and they could be like, hey, we'll give you a new loan at a 20%, but it's going to be for the next 8 years. And then guess what? Now, instead of paying for the next 4 years, you're going to the next 8 years. And that just kind of, you'll probably end up paying more on that at that point. So you have to be very careful about it. If you can get a loan for the next 4 years at 20% and your payment's the same or less, that's a great idea. But you really have to be very careful and pay attention to term of the loan, what the interest rate is, and how far does that push your payment date down the line, payoff date, or does it keep it to the same spot? So those are things to be very careful about when you look at it. But refinancing, if you can, to a lower rate, lower monthly payment, and the same term, then that's not a bad idea at all.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
And if you go to refinance it, shoot me an email with what the quotes and stuff you got, and I'm happy to take a look at it and tell you whether I think it's good or bad, or what that could kind of affect your financial situation moving forward. So
Okay, cool.
But yeah, so that's really the gist of it. Is you have to first simplify your accounts and have it all go in on one account. 2, budget every single transaction coming in and out. 3, start attacking this debt after you've laid out a plan with your budget and you have leftover money every single month. And then once you have all your debt paid off, don't worry about saving, don't worry about investing. When you have these payday loans, when you have this car loan, once all those get paid off, then great. We can start talking about saving in a high yield savings account, save up an emergency fund, and then we can start talking about, okay, Roth IRAs, 401ks, and other taxable brokerage account investing. But for now, until we could talk about investing all day, but we have to figure out this mess first before we even start and consider investing with the interest rates that you're paying right now. So
yeah,
does that all make sense?
It makes perfect sense. It does. It makes perfect sense. Thank you, man.
Well, awesome. Well, Geovanni, what do you think the biggest financial mistake you've made in your life?
The biggest financial mistake is probably payday loans, because I know that they are trapped and they're like, yeah, but it's just sometimes it's an instant approval and it's just like,
they make it easy, but then it traps you in it and they make a lot of money off of it. So definitely agree. I mean, payday loans can trap you and it's hard to get out. So that's why you have the ability to get out of the next few months. So you really have to work hard on getting out of it. And then once you're out of that, let's say no more to payday loans ever again. And you can start saving up an emergency fund when you have all your debt cleared off, so that you never even have to think about getting a payday loan again when you're in a tight crunch or an emergency comes up. So,
okay. Yeah.
Geovanni, if you had one piece of advice to give to anyone watching this, what would it be?
Watch your credit and be patient with your money. There's a few of them. Patience in general with life. Not everything that you want, you need. Thank you, baby.
So I got this follow-up email from Geovanni I wanted to share. My key takeaways from the discussion were protect my credit and keep track of my expenses daily and know exactly what's coming in and out of my account. I also took away the idea that Fiscal responsibility will grant me the freedom that I desire. I plan to execute the debt snowball method to attack my debt, and I plan to meal prep more for my dietary needs. I also plan to limit the amount of money that I spend on fitness. The mind shifts were amazing and was happening throughout the entire discussion, and it was just fantastic. My top goal to change my financial situation is to pay off all my payday loans and have a proper savings started. My goal over the next 90 days is to pay off all my payday loans and attack more of the principal of my car loan, and to possibly get a refinance on a better interest rate on my car. I also have a goal of traveling and starting to add to my investments. I really do appreciate Geovanni coming on here today. He's got a tough road ahead of him with these payday loans and his very high interest rate car loan, but really do appreciate him coming on here and glad that this conversation is beneficial for him, and I'm excited to see where he goes from here. Thanks for watching.
If you enjoyed this episode, watch another video. YouTube thinks this video on screen will be your favorite.